Is there any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify. First, Commissioner Conaway,
Yes.
Commissioner Drexler,
Yes.
Commissioner Gray,
Aye.
and I'm going to be voting aye as well, and Commissioner Correa will be abstaining.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I move that the commission adopt the minutes for the executive session of October 21st as submitted. Commissioner Gray.
I second. Drexler.
Any discussion? Hearing none, Commissioner Conaway,
Aye.
Commissioner Drexler,
Aye.
Commissioner Gray,
Aye.
and I vote aye as well. The motion carries. And obviously, Commissioner Correa is abstaining from that vote. The consent agenda, is there anything on the consent agenda that a commissioner wishes to have moved to the regular agenda? Commissioner Drexler.
Move that we adopt the consent agenda as presented.
I second it. Carry on.
Is there any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, Commissioner Correa,
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Conaway,
Aye.
Commissioner Drexler,
Aye.
and Commissioner Gray.
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. The motion carries. And those of you who do have your machines available, the live stream technical difficulties have been resolved wonderfully by Ronette, and we are now live streaming. The regular agenda, number one is in the matter of the application of Delmarva Power and Light Company for approval of qualified fuel cell provider project tariffs. And we have Dawn Kurtz Crompton from Delmarva Power and Light to present that.
Yes, thank you, Chair Winslow and Commissioners. This is Dawn Kurtz Crompton on behalf of Delmarva Power and Light Company. You have in front of you today for consideration Order 9683, which pertains to Delmarva's filing of the QFCP RC charge for 2020. By way of background, Delmarva submitted its initial monthly QFCP charge calculations on October 21, 2020. Shortly after making that filing, it came to our attention that a portion of Exhibit 1, namely pages 20 through 30, included an outdated monthly operating report from Diamond State Generation Partners, or DSGP. Thereafter, we contacted DSGP and asked for and received the correct September 2020 monthly operating report. On October 28, Delmarva submitted a revised version of certain pages of Exhibit 1, namely pages 20 through 30, which included the September 2020 monthly operating report. This revision corrected the administrative error in the October 21 filing. Notably, the revised information in Exhibit 1 did not affect the calculation of the monthly QFCP rate. As such, other than providing the updated report at pages 20 through 30, Delmarva made no other changes to the rate or any other component of the October 21 filing. As set forth in staff's memorandum, the monthly bill impact of the proposed tariff changes results in a decrease of approximately 75 cents, or a decrease of 0.55% for a typical residential customer using 975 kilowatt hours on a monthly basis. Order 9683, if entered, will allow those rates to take effect for bills issued by Delmarva to its customers between December 1, 2020 and December 31, 2020. I thank staff for preparing the memorandum and proposed order and for allowing Delmarva the opportunity to comment. Delmarva is in agreement with the form of order you have in front of you today and respectfully requests the Commission approve Order 9683 as submitted. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. O'Brien.
Thank you, Chair Winslow and Commissioners. Bill O'Brien on behalf of staff in this matter. Staff agrees with the presentation that you just heard from Delmarva's counsel, Don Kurtz Crompton, and as seen in the staff memorandum that was provided to you, staff does request that you issue proposed order number 9683. And I will note that that order does reference the revised filing by Delmarva Power. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. O'Brien. Ms. Iori?
Thank you, Chairman Winslow and Commissioners. The public advocate has nothing to add to what you've already heard.
Thank you, Ms. Iori. Commissioners, do you have any questions of the parties? Commissioner Gray?
Mr. Chair, I move that the commission adopt order number 9683 as submitted.
I
I
second.
second it,
Drexler.
Kariya.
Second by Commissioner Drexler. Is there any discussion on the motion? Hearing none. Commissioner Correa?
Yes.
Commissioner Conaway?
Aye.
Commissioner Drexler?
Aye.
Commissioner Gray?
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. The motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Dawn Crompton, and thank you, Mr. O'Brien. And thank you, Ms. Iori. The number 2 is in the matter of the application for Chesapeake Utilities Corporation for approval of its environmental rider rate to be effective December 1st, 2020. We have proposed order number 9682. We have also Ms. Lindsay Orr from Chesapeake.
Thank you, Chair Winslow and Commissioners. Lindsay Orr on behalf of Chesapeake Utilities. You have in front of you order number 9682, which will open the docket for Chesapeake's application for approval of its environmental rider rate to be effective December 1st, 2020. Chesapeake filed its application in this docket on October 29th, 2020, seeking approval of its environmental rider under the process approved in PSC order number 4104 in docket number 95-73. Which authorized an annually adjusted surcharge mechanism to allow the company to recover the expenses it has incurred or will incur for remediation of environmental damage liabilities. Order number 9682 opens the docket, sets deadlines for intervention and written comment, and permits the proposed ER rate to become effective on and after December 1st, 2020, on a temporary basis subject to refund, pending the Commission's further review and final decision. Chesapeake thanks staff for preparing the proposed order and allowing Chesapeake the opportunity to comment. Chesapeake supports the form of order in front of the Commission today and respectfully requests approval of order number 9682. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Orr. Mr. Walsh?
Thank you, Chairman Winslow and Commissioners. Tom Walsh on behalf of staff. Ms. Orr's recitation is accurate, and staff supports approval of order number 9682.
Thank you, Mr. Walsh. Ms. Iori?
Thank you, Chairman Winslow and Commissioners. Again, the public advocate has nothing to add to what you've already heard. Thank you.
Commissioners, do you have any questions? May we have a motion?
Move that we adopt order number 9682 as presented.
Commissioner
Conaway.
Gray,
I
second.
Second by Commissioner Gray. Is there any discussion on the motion? Commissioner Correa?
Yes.
Commissioner Conaway?
Aye.
Commissioner Drexler?
Aye.
Commissioner Gray?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. The order does pass. I want to interject here that we're lucky we got back on live stream. I'd like to thank Ronette for her fine work on that. But secondly, I intended to introduce a new employee of ours. We're very lucky and very fortunate to have on board now Dina Allegro. I don't know if you can, you can see her. That's terrific. There
Hello.
she is. And hopefully sometime in the future you'll have a chance to meet her in person here at the PSC. Thank you very much for coming on board, and best wishes to you, Dina.
Thank you, Chairman. Nice to meet everyone virtually.
Okay, number 3 is in the matter of the formal complaint of Fernando Lancia against Delmarva Power and Light Company regarding an unresolved billing issue. And with that, we have, Mr. O'Brien.
Thank you, Chair Winslow and Commissioners. Bill O'Brien on behalf of the Commission in this matter. My update was simply to close the loop on the record regarding the motion for summary judgment that you voted to deny at your last meeting, which was October 21st. As you are likely aware, that motion was subsequently withdrawn, which is why you do not have a proposed order before you today memorializing your October 21st vote. However, I have learned that Staff Counsel has a more thorough update to provide you today. So if it please the Chairman, I'd like to turn it over to Tom Walsh, Counsel for Staff in this matter.
Yes, sir. Please, Mr. Walsh.
Thank you, Chairman Winslow and Commissioners. Very briefly, the parties had been preparing to go to an evidentiary hearing. However, I'm delighted to say that Delmarva and Mr. Placencia have reached a settlement of this matter. Mr. Placencia has signed the settlement agreement, and Delmarva will be signing it shortly. And soon thereafter, the parties will file a stipulation of dismissal.
Thank you, Mr. Walsh.
And that's
And that will end the matter altogether.
yes, it will.
Okay. Commissioners, do you have any questions of Mr. Walsh or Mr. O'Brien? In the hearing scheduled today, we have the first matter is in the matter of the application of Chesapeake Utilities Corporation for authority to establish a regulatory asset. We have proposed order number 9686, which would approve the asset. I believe we have Ms. Orr again.
Actually,
Chairman.
Chair Winslow, we have Brian Quinn on behalf of Chesapeake Utilities today.
Well, that's fine. Thank you, Mr. Quinn. Welcome.
Hi, Mr. Chairman. Brian Quinn on behalf of Chesapeake. Here today on docket number 20-0161. Very briefly, Your Honor, in February, Chesapeake filed the application in this matter seeking an order to establish a regulatory asset to reflect any gain or loss incurred as a result of the proposed termination of the company's defined benefit pension plan. Today's proceeding is the evidentiary hearing on Chesapeake and staff's proposed resolution concerning that application. The Commission should have before it the joint exhibit log, which I believe lists 5 exhibits, and it's my understanding that all parties agree that the exhibits on the exhibit log are admissible, and therefore I'd like to offer those into evidence now.
All the exhibits are entered without objection.
Your Honor, I tend to call only one witness today. It was the only witness who filed testimony in the case. The company calls Ms. Catherine McVey, spelled M-C-V-A-Y, and asked that she be sworn. I hope she's on the line.
Yes, I'm here.
Thank you, Ms. McVey. Please state your name and address.
Mr. Quinn?
Oh, sorry. Yes, sir.
Gloria would like to have the name spelled for the record.
I will do that now, and I'm sorry to rush through, Mr. Chairman. Catherine G. McVey, and I'll spell it now. K-A-T-H-R-Y-N, middle initial of G, McVey, M-C-V-A-Y.
Thank you very much, Mr. Quinn.
Thank you, and sorry for rushing through that, Your Honor. Ms. McVey.
Does she have her
Okay,
right hand?
Ms. McVey.
Mr. Quinn, does she have her right hand up in the air right now?
Yes.
Okay.
Ms. McKay, do you swear that the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Okay, could you keep your voice up, please?
Yes, I do.
Mr. Quinn?
Ms. McVeigh, please state your name, address, and your position with Chesapeake.
My name is Catherine McVeigh. My business address is 2005 Apex Close, Middletown, Delaware, 19709. I am a certified public accountant and began my career in the private sector in 1978 through 1991. In 1991, I was hired by Chesapeake as Director of Internal Audit and moved to the position of Corporate Controller in 2001. In May of 2005, I left Chesapeake and have performed work as a consultant since then.
Thank you, Ms. McVeigh. What was your assignment in this docket?
In this docket, Chesapeake engaged me as a consultant to assist in the preparation of the application and to prepare direct testimony in support of the company's request.
Please very briefly summarize Chesapeake's proposal in this docket.
On February 25th, 2020, Chesapeake filed the application in this matter seeking commission authorization to establish a regulatory asset to reflect any gains or losses incurred as a result of the termination of the company's defined benefit pension plan. Chesapeake is terminating its defined benefit pension plan in order to provide the opportunity for long-term savings and to reduce administrative costs. The plan was closed to new participants in 1999 and has been frozen since December 31st of 2004. Future benefits under this plan are no longer increasing due to years of service or pay increases. However, because it is a qualified plan under IRS regulations, there are high levels of required administrative costs and pension benefit guarantee corporation fees incurred each year. By terminating the defined benefit pension plan now, Chesapeake will avoid these recurring administrative fees.
Thank you. You prepared pre-filed direct testimony dated February 25th, 2020 that consisted of 13 pages of question and answer testimony accompanied by 4 exhibits labeled KGM 1 through 4. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Can you very briefly discuss your direct testimony?
Yes. My direct testimony described how the company is in the process of closing the defined benefit pension plan in a 2-step process. The first step was to provide annuities to current retirees and offer other eligible terminated participants the option of either an annuity or a lump sum payment. Chesapeake completed this first step in the fourth quarter of 2019, and the settlement of the first step resulted in a loss that was known and measurable. The second and final step is to terminate the defined benefit pension plan. Chesapeake has been evaluating whether the prevailing interest rates will allow for the formal termination of the remainder of the pension plan without incurring an excessive loss. Chesapeake will begin the second step and terminate the pension plan when it is economically feasible. Chesapeake requests authorization to establish this regulatory asset primarily for 2 reasons. The first is to eliminate certain recurring, mandatory, and increasing administrative fees and fiduciary costs associated with an active pension plan. And the second reason is to allow any known and measurable gain or loss related to the termination of the pension plan to be appropriately amortized over a period equal to the remaining average life of the plan instead of the gain or loss being recorded in the year the plan was settled. Chesapeake would not request to include any regulatory asset or liability in the company's rate base until the company files its next base rate proceeding. At that time, the Commission and all parties involved will have the opportunity to review all costs related to the termination of the defined benefit pension plan and decide the impact of the regulatory asset or liability on Chesapeake's rate base.
Thank you. Please keep your voice up. Do you have any changes or corrections that you'd like to make to your direct testimony?
No.
Is the information set forth in the application and your pre-filed direct testimony true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, it is.
If I were to ask you the question set forth in your pre-filed testimony today, would your answers be the same?
Yes, they would.
And do you adopt your pre-filed testimony as your sworn testimony in this matter?
Yes.
Thank you. Are you aware of the proposed resolution in this matter?
Yes. Chesapeake and staff have reached a proposed resolution of the matter.
Have you reviewed the terms of the proposed resolution as described in the proposed order, order number 9686, currently before the Commission?
Yes. Chesapeake and Commission staff specifically agreed to a resolution in this matter. I understand the public advocate takes no position on the resolution. All of the terms of the proposed resolution are described in order number 9686, so I will not repeat them here. However, I am happy to answer any questions on the details of the resolution.
Thank you. Do you believe that the proposed resolution described in Order 9686 furthers the public interest, and if so, why?
Yes, I believe the proposed resolution reached in this matter is in the public interest for several reasons. After filing the application, the parties conducted extensive discovery in this matter over the course of several months. In addition, the parties held numerous settlement discussions during which all parties were afforded the opportunity to raise their concerns. The proposed resolution here is the result of a compromise of divergent positions and resolves all matters raised in this proceeding. Specifically, the proposed resolution is in the public interest because the ratepayers will be insulated from the risks associated with increased liabilities due to lower than expected market returns on the defined benefit pension plan's assets or increased actuarial requirements going forward. Additionally, ratepayers will be insulated from increases in administrative fees and costs. And finally, due to the straight-line amortization and return allowance based solely on Chesapeake's cost of debt, ratepayers are expected to realize savings in future rates, which should have the effect of decreasing the company's revenue requirements in future years, in future rate cases. Finally, the proposed resolution here contemplates and acknowledges continued Commission oversight. Any and all actual costs incurred by Chesapeake to terminate the pension plan will be subject to review in a subsequent rate case. For these reasons, Chesapeake submits that the proposed resolution is in the public interest and respectfully respectfully request that the Commission approve the proposed order.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, Ms. McVeigh is available for cross-examination.
Mr. Walsh, any questions?
No questions from staff.
Ms. Iori,
No questions.
commissioners?
Mr. Chair, this is Commissioner Gray. I have 3 questions, please. Ms. McVeigh?
Yes.
I just want clarification on the scope. So all accounting within the scope of this order from Delaware will reflect only the pro ratio assets or liabilities affiliated with Chesapeake operations under the jurisdiction of the Delaware PSC?
That's correct.
In other words, Delaware ratepayers will not bear any pension or termination costs or benefits that are not within the jurisdiction of Delaware, right?
That's correct.
Okay. And just 2 curious questions. With the proposed approach, will all the pension obligations to all beneficiaries, employees, pensioners, survivors be fulfilled?
Yes, they will.
And will all obligations to the Pension Benefit Guarantee Board be fulfilled?
Yes, they will.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. No further questions.
Mr. Gray, or Commissioner Gray, would you like to do a motion, please?
Yes, I will. I hear.
Do we have a question out there?
Sorry, are there other questions from other commissioners? Sorry.
No question.
I think this is order number 9686. Yes. So I move that the commission adopt order number 9686 as submitted.
I second. Kim Drexler.
Okay, under discussion, I think that Pam Knotts would like to say nothing. Mr. Tom Walsh?
Yes, Chairman, staff has a witness that it would like to put forth, testify just briefly, because staff is, of course, a party to the settlement. If I could do that briefly, I would appreciate it.
My apologies to you, Mr. Walsh, and to Ms. Gannon, and please proceed.
Okay. Staff calls Ms. Patricia Gannon and asks that she be sworn.
Ms. Gannon, do you swear that the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Could you please state your name and address?
My name is Patricia Gannon. My business address is 861 Silver Lake Boulevard, Suite 100, Dover, Delaware.
Who is your current employer and what is your position title?
I'm employed by the Delaware Public Service Commission as a public utility analyst.
And what was your role in docket number 200161?
I reviewed the components and calculations for Chesapeake's application for a regulatory asset.
And what is this particular proceeding for?
On February 25th, 2020, Chesapeake filed an application seeking authorization to establish a regulatory asset to reflect any gain or loss incurred as a result of the termination of the company's defined benefit pension plan and to amortize any gain or loss over the remaining life of the plan. Chesapeake's pension plan was closed to new participants in 1999 and has been frozen since 2004, so future benefits are no longer increasing. Because the pension plan is a qualified plan under Internal Revenue Service regulations, Chesapeake incurs high levels of administrative costs and pension benefit guarantee corporation fees every year. Terminating the plan will allow Chesapeake to avoid incurring those costs.
And did you receive any public comments pertaining to this application?
We did not receive any public comment.
And could you describe the nature of your review?
I reviewed the application, testimony, and discovery, and participated in several conference calls with the company and the public advocate to discuss the filing and the settlement. I also reviewed Order 9686, which is before the Commission today and memorializes the parties' settlement agreement.
And could you please briefly summarize the settlement agreement?
Chesapeake will establish a regulatory asset to reflect any gain or loss incurred as a result of the termination of the plan. The company will divest all assets and liabilities associated with the plan before its next general rate case pending board approval. The regulatory asset will be capped at $1.084 million. It will be amortized over 240 months on a straight line basis. Amortization will begin after the plan is fully divested. The company has agreed to a return equal to the company's cost of debt. The rate base will include the assets and associated liabilities from accumulated deferred state and federal income taxes at the time the regulatory asset is established. For rate-making purposes, there will be no income tax provision associated with the return on the regulatory asset.
And what are your recommendations?
Staff respectfully recommends that the Commission approve Order 9686.
And do you believe that your recommendation for this regulatory asset treatment will lead to results that are just and reasonable and in the public interest?
Yes, I do. Settlements are encouraged, and settling this case will save ratepayers the cost of proceeding to a full hearing. The settlement represents a balance between the company's needs and the interests of ratepayers.
Does this conclude your testimony?
Yes, it does.
Chairman Winslow, that concludes the direct testimony for Ms. Gannon. She is available for any questions.
Mr. Quinn, any questions of Ms. Gannon?
No, thank you, Your Honor.
Ms. Iori?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Commissioners, any questions? Will you want to renew your motion, Commissioner Gray?
Yes, Mr. Chair. I move that the Commission adopt Order Number 9686 as submitted.
And I will second Drexler.
Is there any discussion on the motion? Commissioner Correa?
Yeah.
Commissioner Conaway?
Aye.
Commissioner Drexler?
Aye.
Commissioner Gray?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. The motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Quinn. Ms. McVeigh, good job. Ms. Gannon, very good job. And thank you, Gina and Tom.
Thank you.
Next matter is a public comment. Is there anyone on the telephone? I know there's no one present for public comment, but is there anybody on the telephone that wishes to make comment to the Public Service Commission? Hearing no response, Dr. Brua.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. Good afternoon. The first item in administrative matters is that there is an evidentiary hearing in PSC docket number 20-0150 in the matter of the application of Delmarva Power and Light Company for an increase in natural gas base rates. It will be held on Thursday, December 3rd, 2020 at 10 a.m. and Friday, December 4th, 2020 at 10 a.m. via teleconference, and the numbers for those conference will be sent out soon. I do have director's comments, and if it pleases the commission, I have a few brief but important items to update. You met Ms. Allegra this afternoon. In addition to Ms. Allegra, we also have filled 2 vacant analyst positions, and they start next Monday, November 23rd, and their names are Samuel Kame and Samuel Richter, and we hope to introduce them to you at the first meeting in December, which is December 2nd. A few weeks ago, you had asked to reschedule the currently scheduled December 16th meeting. Based on your respective feedback, I believe we can hold that meeting on Monday, December 14th. May I have your approval to make that calendar change from December 16th to Monday, December 14th?
Commissioner Correa? Commissioner Conaway?
Yes.
Commissioner Drexler?
Yes.
Commissioner Gray?
Yes.
And as
I was yes, Mr. Chairman. I was on mute by mistake.
No problem. I'm voting yes as well. So yes, December 14th will be terrific.
Thank you. We'll make that change. You may have heard about the governor having reimposed some of the restrictions due to the uptick in the current pandemic in his press conference yesterday. We hope to hear soon if the governor's emergency order will be extended, which currently ends on November 30th. Regardless, we plan to continue our operations with no change for now, and I will update you on that as soon as we find out. The next item is, some months ago, due to the commission secretary being on leave for 2 weeks, the commission had approved the deputy director as the acting commission secretary. Due to your meetings being 3 weeks apart, we do not want to face any procedural issues if the commission secretary is unavailable between your meetings. Therefore, I'm asking that, until further notice, the PSC's deputy director can perform the duties and functions of the commission secretary during the latter's absence. I welcome any questions. If none, may I please have your approval for that move?
Dr. Brewer,
Commissioner Gray is aye.
just a second, please. Dr. Brewer, I understand what you want to do, and I have no objection to it. The only question I have is if he's,
Go ahead.
I guess I'm thinking to myself that it may not be such a bad thing if we had not only Mr. Hartigan, but maybe yourself as the backup, so that we have 2 backups rather than 1. It's probably not necessary, but.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, I do naturally step into that role, but we're trying to make sure, like you said, that there's a 3-deep bench. So do I have your approval for that?
Yes, yeah, everyone's voted yes, and we all would like that to happen.
Thank you. Last but not least, a very unpopular announcement. By now, you're aware that our tireless and valued colleague Connie McDowell to my left is retiring on December 31st. However, we still have 6 weeks to squeeze all the expertise out of her. She has readily agreed to that. But on an administrative level, we have begun the recruitment process with the state's Department of Human Resources. The posting went out this morning. This process will take at least a month, and my expectation is to make an offer by mid-December so that the selected candidate can start in the first week of January 2021 and step into Ms. McDowell's shoes. I welcome any questions and comments.
Point of clarification, Mr. Chair, this is Commissioner Gray.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Executive Director, isn't it necessary for us to receive a 6-month notice before Ms. McDowell can depart?
There is a piece of, Commissioner Gray, you're right, but there is a piece of paper she slid under my door the moment I walked into this job 2.5 years ago. So that.
So you were aware and we were not. I get it. Okay.
I thought I left the copies on your desk. You just didn't see it. Thank you, Chairman and Commissioner.
Clearly, for clarification.
Sorry, go ahead.
Clearly, for clarification, seriously, that means then we have 2 more meetings before Ms. McDowell physically retires. Am I correct?
Well, I don't know about physically retiring. She just won't come to the office. Let's just put it that way. Yes, you're right, and that was going to be my next announcement. The next 2 meetings are Wednesday, December 2nd, and Monday, December 14th.
Okay.
If nothing else, thank you, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. I wish each of you and your families a nice and safe Thanksgiving.
Everyone have a good holiday, safe holiday. The meeting is now adjourned.